In the 1980s, if you were looking for the most dynamic, most innovative computer market on the entire planet, you might think America, right? Or maybe Japan, but you'd be wrong. It was Britain. Today, we're diving into the UK's incredible 16-bit computer revolution.
So what was going on? What was the secret ingredient? How did this little island nation suddenly become the global epicenter for computing, with this completely unique ecosystem of machines all battling it out for a spot in our homes, schools, and offices? Well, the answer is that this was way more than just faster processors or shinier graphics. It was a full-blown computational renaissance, a kind of socio-technical revolution that completely reshaped the country and, believe it or not, planted the seeds for the digital world we all live in today.
Okay, so let's set the stage and take a look at how this incredible technological boom got started. You see, the UK was already a pressure cooker just waiting to explode. The 8-bit era with machines like the Spectrum had created this whole generation of self-taught bedroom coders. Then the government stepped in with schemes to put computers in every single school, which created this massive hungry market. So when powerful 16-bit machines finally arrived, that hobbyist culture just went supernova, turning into a real professional industry almost overnight.
All right, now for the main event, the epic battle for the living room, where two absolute titans fought to define the future of what a home computer could be. In one corner, you had the Commodore Amiga, a multimedia powerhouse built from the ground up for jaw-dropping games and digital art. And in the other corner, the Atari ST, the musician's gateway, a machine that very quickly became the beating heart of the British music industry. So the Amiga 500 drops in 1987, and it is a total game changer. And the interesting thing here isn't really the main CPU, no. The real magic was in those custom chips, Agnes, Denise, and Paula. See, they were specialists. They handled all the heavy lifting for graphics and sound, which freed up the main processor to just think. It's what gave the Amiga its legendary power to do multiple things at once.
And at the core of that power was this thing, the blitter. The best way to think of it is as a dedicated graphics turbo booster inside that Agnes chip. Its one and only job was to move huge chunks of image data around the screen at incredible speeds. This is what allowed for that buttery smooth scrolling and animation that its competitors could only dream of.
And you could really see what that power meant in the software. Games like Shadow of the Beast just hypnotized you with these deep, multi-layered scrolling backgrounds, or Lemmings, which was juggling hundreds of individually animated little guys on screen all at once. I mean, these weren't just games, they were incredible technical showcases.
The Atari ST, on the other hand, had a totally different philosophy. It was simpler, more straightforward, but it had one killer feature that, at that price point, absolutely nobody else had. Built-in MIDI ports right there on the back of the machine, straight out of the box. And that one design decision, it was everything. It made the ST the undisputed king of music production. You pair that with software like Cubase, and suddenly professional artists and bedroom producers could sequence entire albums on a home computer. It just completely took over the UK music scene for years. But hey, this revolution wasn't just happening in living rooms and music studios. A completely different battle was being fought in Britain's schools and offices. So while the Amiga and the ST were duking it out for the home market, British classrooms belonged to a different beast entirely. Born out of the BBC Micro project, the Acorn Archimedes was the absolute undisputed champion of UK education. And its secret was something truly revolutionary, a RISC processor. Instead of having a huge, complicated set of instructions like other chips, RISC took a less is more approach. It used a much smaller, simpler set of instructions, which meant the chip could execute them incredibly fast. Now, what's really fascinating here is the processor speed. Just 4 megahertz. I mean, that sounds painfully slow today, right? But here's the kicker. Thanks to the sheer efficiency of that RISC design, the ARM2 chip inside the Archimedes could absolutely run circles around its rivals when it came to pure number crunching. It was all about working smarter, not harder. So you've got all this brilliant, homegrown innovation happening. But the biggest shock to the system, the machine that would truly turn the business world upside down, came from a company most people knew for making cheap hi-fi systems. Okay, first, let's just set the scene. In the mid-80s, if you wanted a proper IBM PC for your business, this was the price of entry. Over $2,000. For most small businesses, it was prohibitively expensive, and for home use, you could basically forget it. And then, in 1986, Alan Sugar's Amstrad does this. 399 pounds. It wasn't just a price drop, it was an earthquake that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. The impact was immediate and it was profound. Amstrad's PC1512 wasn't just another clone, it was a cultural phenomenon. It democratized business computing and put the power of the IBM standard into the hands of thousands of British homes and small businesses for the very first time. So you have all these unique, incredible competing machines, but, this wonderfully diverse market, it just couldn't last forever. So let's take a look at the legacy of this golden age. As we roll into the early 90s, the tide really starts to turn. The IBM PC standard, the one made affordable by companies like Amstrad, it just becomes unstoppable. And one by one, the great names of the 80s, they just faded away. By 1995, that vibrant, diverse British market had pretty much consolidated around the PC and the Mac. You might be tempted to look back and think that this whole uniquely British chapter of computing was just a fascinating dead end, right? A cool but ultimately failed experiment. But you'd be wrong.
Because its most important legacy is probably hiding in plain sight. Remember that super efficient RISC processor from the Acorn Archimedes? Well, that technology, the Acorn RISC machine, or ARM, it didn't die. It evolved. And today, it powers virtually every single smartphone on the planet, very possibly including the one you're holding in your hand right now.
And that just leaves us with this fascinating question to ponder. Imagine a world where the Amiga's creative first vision had won out. Or what if every computer today was built on the incredible efficiency of that original Acorn chip? It really makes you wonder just how profoundly different our digital lives might be.